Time Podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central.
From the Sugar Shack Studios in Texas, USA, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Aiden Bergsman from the Anderson Economic Group talks to us about the auto tariffs that start next Wednesday. Jeff has the cruise in and events calendars, and I'll bring you stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us. And David Ainsley is preparing to join us next Saturday at the Hemi Hideout. We invite you to join us out there as well. John Hovis is going to have an open house at the Hemi Hideout. Usually has a couple of them every year.
Yep.
It's your opportunity to take a gander inside yourself, and we highly recommend it for anybody and everybody. Children under 12 are not welcome.
And the weather's going to be beautiful.
It is. Yeah, it truly is. All right. Let's go to the Anderson Economic Group. And the gentleman's name is Aiden. It's great to have you with us, Aiden Bergsman. Pardon me?
Did you lose your place again?
Well, yeah, I did. I'm sorry. And I
Aiden, how are you?
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Well, very well. Where are we speaking to you from?
I am in the office currently at East Lansing, Michigan.
Oh, very good.
You're up in Michigan. Okay, well, good. The hot spot of the world these days, 25% tariffs on automobiles coming from, well, for us, mainly Canada and Mexico, but they also include all the European and Japanese countries. I mean, anything that comes in through a port, they're going to be charged a 25% tariff. And I said this earlier, and that's on top of any tariff that currently is placed on that country. Am I correct?
Yep, that's correct. The proclamation just Wednesday this week on the 26th, that was for the car imports and auto parts imports. From any foreign country, and that's on top of as well the steel and aluminum that went into effect earlier this month. Any other tariffs that may be in existence, all of these are really on top of each other. So there's quite a lot of areas for these autos to get hit.
And I think that the president said yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, that he is asking the car companies to toe a line on increasing the price of automobiles, which to me means, look, these guys need to kind of suck it up, is what he's saying, I think, is what he's asking for. Are they going to do that, you think?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess it's really ultimately up to the manufacturers, and each model is going to be different in terms of how much it gets hit by these tariffs, which would then inform them of what sorts of cost increases they'll see for those models. As consumers, we hope that there's not going to be too much of an impact. But I think, since there's all these tariffs that are going to be stacked on top of each other, we should be seeing some increases across the board for these models. And, ultimately it's up to the manufacturers. We would hope that they could absorb more of it than they pass on to the consumers. But we'll, see probably sooner rather than later.
Well, Aiden, from my experience, and not all of the cars that come to us from Mexico or Canada, and we're going to talk about those specifically because I think that those are the ones that impact or will impact most of America if the manufacturers stay with the prices in a 25% increase. Hopefully that will not be the case, but it's going to take us a while to kind of weave our way through this process because there are certain things that it's complicated. It's not just 25% across the board because, granted, if an engine is made in Windsor, Ontario, for instance, and is shipped to the other side of the river over to Detroit and placed in a Chevy pickup truck, there's 25%. But there are other parts to the truck that could be made in Mexico that goes through the United States and gets another part added to it. Then it gets shipped to Canada and it comes back. So there are all these ifs, ands, and buts that are happening within all of this tariff stuff that it's quite complicated, actually.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It is quite complicated. We've definitely buffed up our tariff and imports knowledge over the past couple of months because of this. And you're right, these components cross borders several times, during the manufacturing process. even to the complexity point that you mentioned, even the government isn't fully prepared for these tariffs yet, in the fact that with the newest proclamation a couple of days ago on the car parts, currently those I don't believe are being tariffed until the Secretary of Commerce can even figure out the way to differentiate between the U.S. and the non-U.S. content. So there will be some wiggle room for manufacturers and importers when they're importing cars and components to declare U.S. content that would not be impacted by the tariffs.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Which they're still working on setting that system up.
Yeah. I read a story this morning from Automotive News that the issue is so compounded that what they have done, knowing that this is going to take place a month ago now, well, almost a month ago, that they're cranking out cars as fast as they can in Canada and Mexico and importing everything that they can from the Europeans and Japanese as well. That dealer lots are overflowing with cars, and the dealers are getting as many cars as they can right now, especially those that are made outside the United States. And I would imagine, there's that ripple effect. Order it a month ago and over order for your lot what you think that you could sell. And I would imagine that they're going to have every space and more filled at car dealers. And the word out today was, if you're going to go buy a new car, be prepared to wait for a salesman to sell you the car. Have you heard this too?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly, like you said, a ripple effect, and the timing of it's very interesting. These tariffs were originally discussed way back in November as, really just an idea. And over the course of the last few months, now we've been seeing them, take shape and really become realized, and see them change in a way as well. Now with the new tariffs, we're seeing that that's targeting really any import, not just from Canada and Mexico. So that really is impacting all manufacturers, all makes and models. And I think you're right. I think to get ahead of this, some dealerships, they're trying to get whatever they can get their hands on. And not only just from their side, but consumers as well. We've been telling people that if you've got your eye on a car and there's something that you're looking to purchase, to try to make that purchase sooner rather than later, because the price could go up, or if manufacturers during this process realize that certain models really just aren't as feasible to produce anymore with the cost of the imports, they might switch away from certain car models. And for some consumers, that have been looking to buy a certain model, that can really affect their choices in the
future. Right, because there are some manufacturers that are actually only building this particular model in Canada or in Mexico, and I'm just going to use those as an example.
Sure.
It's all over the world,
Yeah.
but they're only making them there. My thought was, okay, so Project X car is made in Ontario, Canada, or Windsor, Canada, and that car, it sells, but it doesn't sell in huge numbers. So the only way for me to make any money as a manufacturer is to tack on that entire 25% and sell it up. If it's a $40,000 car, now you're looking at a $50,000 car is the way it works. If I'm not making that much money and I'm not making that many cars, am I going to shut down the factory? Then you get the whole other
ripple.
The other ripple of it is the unions, because Canada has a union similar to ours. And can they do that without some sort of big brouhaha with the unions? So there are so many multiples involved in this. How do you see things going? What do you foresee? I know you got an idea.
Honestly, I think it's going to be from a lot of different angles. I don't think there's really, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution for these manufacturers. Like you said, certain models, if they rely more on imports or manufacturing from foreign countries, the solution's either, like you said, they can keep producing as is and just have to incur that 25%. They could shift their production of that model to the U.S. Or try to produce certain components domestically rather than importing them. They could just completely do away with the model, which would have ripple effects, like you said, with closing down facilities and laying off employment. I think probably the best solution for these manufacturers is to do a little bit of all of it, really analyze which models are the ones that they are for sure going to keep and they can justify.
Well, and
How do they shift that production? And then if they're getting rid of some, where they make the cuts in terms of the production and the employment.
yeah, and the final goal is to get the manufacturing here in the U.S. So I think that with those steps that you said you're going to take, or they would take, inevitably they're going to probably move over to here to make it a little less tough on the tariffs themselves. And the people that are going to really be making money on this are the tariff attorneys, because there's going to be lawsuits left and right.
You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's who's going to be making the money.
Well, here's the other thing that I'm going to throw out there, and that is the fact that the manufacturers have spent billions and billions and billions of dollars to shift focus to electric, and electric has stopped selling in volume big enough that they can actually make some money off of them. And so now they've put all of their savings, if you will, into EVs and EV factories and battery technology and battery building, all of that. So where is the money going to come from to, let's say, move the Chevrolet plant that makes the Silverado in Canada? And how, because they're going to have to either add capacity to where they are building them, because usually, at least here in Texas, they sell every single one that they make, or they're going to have to just be on hold with your order for your Chevy pickup truck because they can't make them fast enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, the issues are compounded, and it just is not one thing, it's a lot of things. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, and this is my thought, the CEOs of these manufacturing companies, GM, Ford, Stellantis, whoever it is, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars in their bonuses and all of this sort of stuff. And you hear about, Mary Barra getting, a bonus of $1 million. You never hear, well, they're going to take a cut and pay just to help along. It's more of a symbolic thing. Why wouldn't they do that? To get the kudos from the American people saying, hey, Mary Barra took a cut and pay, and I'm going to go buy me a GM.
Yeah, I mean, I have no way of knowing if that would actually happen or not. But I mean, as a consumer and, somebody on the side of this that's going to see these impacts, I think something to that effect would really go a long way to help reassure these consumers that they're not just kind of left by the wayside to really deal with, the final decisions and seeing these car prices go up. That, that's a really tough pill to swallow for some people. And it's going to definitely push people if they were in the new car market, maybe they go used, or maybe unfortunately they can't afford the vehicle they want to anymore. I think what's going to help the consumer get through this process, and even manufacturers, is it's going to, there's going to be a give and take from both sides. And, if that's not only just the restructuring, bringing manufacturing over here, but also, like you said, if there's pay cuts involved, or maybe, the CEOs can kind of help in any way that they can as well. I think that would help consumers know that they're not alone, and that while this is going on, that they get support from some other aspects of it.
Aiden, how many meetings do you think are happening this weekend, right now, today, as we speak, talking about tariffs and what in the world are we going to do?
Well, Aiden's in the office.
Yeah, you're in the office, so there you go. I mean, I would imagine that there's probably going to be around-the-clock headbanging going on in all these major corporations going, okay, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it?
Definitely.
I was telling somebody earlier today, I said, I think that what's going to happen is that it's going to be a combination of things that these manufacturers are going to have to either individually or collectively, and I think collectively ultimately is going to be the answer. This one's cutting back here. This one's moving the operation here. This one's going to shut down that operation over here. It's going to be a combination of all these things to try to keep a cap on the price of the vehicle, because the price of a new vehicle is over $40,000 on average now. It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're spot on there. I think there's lots of, like you said, there's compounding issues, and because of that, there's going to have to be, lots of different solutions that they have to weave and have them work together so that they can attack this from all different angles.
I'm interested in all these commercials that you see now on TV. Hey, take $18,000 off the top of the sticker price and get in the incentive at whatever 2.9% for whatever time. I wonder how the commercials are going to be. Get involved now and get the 25% tariff removed or whatever the case. Hey, congratulations on Michigan State beating Ole Miss yesterday.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I checked in on it every now and then. It was a tight one, but Michigan State got the good comeback.
So do you have information, whatever Anderson Economic Group is thinking about the 25% tariffs?
We're currently in the process of updating our analysis. We put one out in February, which at the time was based on the February 1st executive order, which was just the 25% country tariffs to Canada and Mexico, which, as we know, has been delayed a couple of times, and we're now seeing this new tariff of imports of cars and car parts. With that analysis, we'd found that we took some data from a good selection of vehicles from different manufacturers, makes, and models. Ultimately finding that car prices could see increases of anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, even more so for some EV models, which you brought up earlier. We're working currently on updating that analysis. We're hoping to have a release early next week to take into account not only the new steel and aluminum tariffs that went into effect earlier this month, but the new tariffs that will be entering into the equation starting Wednesday.
Aiden, we can't thank you enough for joining us today. We really appreciate you. And we're going to be back. We're going to knock on your door again here in not too distant future.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Be on the lookout for our release. It'll come out sometime this week.
Thank you so much. Aiden Bergsman, Anderson Economic Group. Thanks again. Coming up, Jeff has the cruise in and events calendars, and I'll have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Thanks for joining us on the award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We continue in 2 minutes.
You've waited all winter, and it's finally here. The Tailpipes and Tacos Spring Cruise In. It's been a while, but the popular Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In returns to the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, Saturday, April 19th. Make any donation to Shirley's Kids and get a free breakfast taco. There'll be mimosas and Bloody Marys, too. Get to the best cruise in of the year. Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, April 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. Cruise in, make a donation of any amount, and grab a free Loopy Tortilla breakfast taco. Tailpipes and Tacos only happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 703 West Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of the Katy Freeway. Join the car camaraderie, and your car will automatically compete for one of 3 chili pepper trophies at no charge. Spring is here, and what better way to celebrate than with a free taco at Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, April 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there too. We hope to see you then. Come on out. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
Hey, we hope you'll join us for the upcoming Hot Rod Tour of Texas beginning April 24th down in Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get all the latest from the tour all weekend long, and Saturday the 26th, we'll be streaming our live show from the tour stop here in the Houston area at Spindle Tap Brewery. We thank you for joining us today here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Time now for the Cruise In and events calendars.
Yes,
Jeffrey?
you got Humble Good Old Days Classic Car Show It returns April 5th in Humble. It's part of the Good Old Days Festival, and it highlights the town's rich history.
Well, there's some good old boys there.
Yeah, good old boys, good old girls, all good old gals, all that stuff. And for the history and the community spirit. Pre-1988 vehicles. They've got a kids zone. They got raffles, prizes, all that good stuff. Probably food trucks. You can get on goodoldays.com, car show, for more information. That's in Humble at 110 South Avenue G. Goes from 10 a.m. till whenever. And then you got the weekly cruise in Montgomery, Texas, every Saturday night, 6 to 9. This actually tonight and next weekend, behind McDonald's and O'Reilly's in the Brookshire parking lot, Brookshire Brothers parking lot. And then you've got Kerrville coming up. The Kerrville Masonic Lodge, third annual charity car show in Kerrville, part of the Salvation Army. They've got a fire pup program. They've got the Texas Masonic Charities, all that good stuff. 100% of the proceeds go to supporting the community, so get out there. Your dollar's going to go far. It's at the Kirk County Courthouse, 700 Main Street. No, Mike, you can't go because I think you got warrants out. You got warrants, you can't go. Kerrville from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then, of course, we've got our cruise-ins.
He's got an ankle monitor.
Is that what it is? It's got bedazzle bling on it.
Yes, it does. It lights up.
Kind of glittery.
Yeah,
it works good during the holidays. It looks pretty.
You're never mind. You got the Hemi Hideout next weekend. Tailpipes and Tacos on the 19th. And then
Hemi Hideout is the cruise in.
Yep.
It's an open house.
Yep.
Bring your hot rod. Don't have to bring anything. Just bring your regular driver car.
Yep.
You need to see the Hemi Hideout. That's out in Brookshire, Texas. Go to hemihideout.com. Let them know you're coming so they can do a head count.
Yep.
By the way, the Lupi Tortilla taco truck's going to be out there. So if you want to have lunch again, you can do that.
That's good.
Very
I like
good,
taco.
very
We were
good.
just talking about that, and you see the advertisements that we have on there. And the parking. You go park your car, and then we'll wheel you up in a golf cart up to the event, up to the building, and that's all cool stuff, too. So there you go.
Cruise in and
Very
events.
cool.
Yep.
Right? Let's see here. Scammers who share tricks with one another on social media are pushing auto loan fraud to record levels.
What?
The dollar amount of car loans involving fraud grew last year by more than 16% to $9.2 billion, according to a report from risk management firm Point Predictive. In dollar terms, that's about 1.3% of all auto lending. The increase is much faster than the growth in total lending identified by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The rising numbers of swindlers is likely contributing to the record share of borrowers falling behind on their auto loan payments, as fraudulent loans are more likely to end up in default. One of the fastest growing types of fraud was so-called credit washing, where credit repair companies file false identity theft claims with credit bureaus or the Federal Trade Commission to help borrowers clear black marks from their credit histories. Indicators of credit washing showed up in 1.7% of loan applications last year, a 162% increase over 2023. Largest share of fraud involves the misrepresentation of income or employment, which can come from both borrowers and dealers. These kinds of inaccuracies accounted for 42% of all fraud last year by dollar amount. Point Predictive said to detect signs of likely income misrepresentation, the company uses methods including tracking the income levels of borrowers put on different applications and flagging significant variations. So beware.
Big Brother's watching you.
That's it.
Yep.
FBI has formed a task force with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives to coordinate investigations into a growing number of vandalism and arson incidents of Teslas, the showrooms, and the charging stations. The incidents come amid escalating backlash against CEO Elon Musk and his role in President Trump's administration. I think it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, it is.
Hyundai Motor Group said it will spend $6 billion to establish a steel mill in Louisiana operated by Hyundai Steel, capable of producing 2.7 million tons of steel each year. The steel plant will supply cars and parts to plants in the U.S. It's part of a $21 billion investment in the company. will spend over next 4 years to expand annual production capacity to 1.2 million vehicles.
That's the whole point.
They're here.
That's the
How
whole
do you
point.
borrow $21 billion?
They have it in their pockets.
They know a guy.
They know a guy. It also plans to invest in energy infrastructure creation and partner with U.S. companies such as NVIDIA and Waymo on technology development. Trump confirmed that Hyundai Motor, parent to Hyundai, Genesis, and Kia, would not be required to pay tariffs as a result of the expansion.
Wow.
Did it say where in Louisiana?
They didn't
You
say.
didn't
It's south of Baton Rouge. I
Baton
believe.
Rouge. Is
South
it?
of
No.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
They're on the river?
Probably.
Don't know. It doesn't say exactly. I'm sure that it'd be easy to find out.
One of our astute fact checkers online will tell us.
Yeah, I'm sure. It doesn't say in the story. I don't know.
I think I heard south or southeast of Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
Red Stick,
Yes.
which is the state capital, by the way.
Thank you for that history lesson.
Yeah. I know all the state capitals. Ask me a state, I'll tell you the capital.
Washington State.
It's a W.
Have you ever thought about doing stand-up?
No.
I think what you should do is you should really apply for a opening act for Leanne Morgan.
Put a Tom
Or-
Papa.
or Tom Papa.
We saw Tom Papa a couple weeks ago. It was awesome.
That was actually last week.
Was it last week?
And it was very
Time
good.
flies. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, if you have not heard of Tom Papa, we highly recommend.
Yeah.
He's got a special on Netflix. It's pretty.
Several, yeah. And
Yeah.
he's a clean comic.
Yeah. Well, every once in a while there'll be a word here or there, but
A dang it or a darn.
Kind
in
of
there.
like us. We're pretty clean most of the time. Some of the time.
when we're on the air.
A little bit of the time.
When we're on the air.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're going to have to take us a little break here, I
Yep.
think, gentlemen. Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Am
the
I-
show has actually gone kind of fast, too fast. We might need to do another 2 hours or something.
Not today.
Okay.
But maybe
Not
next week.
today.
In Real Time Car Talk shows after this. Stay with us.
Pro-Am Auto Accessories has been serving Houston's auto enthusiasts since 1984, providing world-class products for sports cars, European sedans, and American muscle. Pro-Am is known as the place to go to find exclusive and hard-to-find parts and accessories. Pro-Am is one of the very first distributors in the USA for brands such as Recaro, Redline, Momo, Corbo, and Simpson. Located in the heart of Houston's premier retail and service corridor, the Galleria area, Pro-Am's walk-in storefront includes an 8,000-square-foot warehouse, showroom, and installation bays. Pro-Am not only sells parts and accessories, but also offers installation and service. Pro-Am is now reaching a worldwide audience through Pro-Am.com, taking its local reputation to the rest of the world. At Pro-Am Auto, you'll be dealing with a small group of professionals who truly want to help you with your automotive needs. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, call and Pro-Am will lend you a hand. Pro-Am Auto, 6125 Richmond at Green Ridge in Houston's Galleria area. Call them at 713-781-7755.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Houston, April 3rd to the 5th at NRG Center. Join us for the fun, fast-paced, high-energy Mecum experience with 1,000 vehicles up for grabs. For avid collectors, first-time buyers, and enthusiasts of all ages, there's something for everyone. Bring home your dream car. Register to bid and buy spectator tickets now at Mecum.com.
Well, that's all for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Be sure and check us out online at InWheelTime.com. We're always looking for new, informative, and fun automotive things.
Ooh, yeah.
If you have an idea or an event, let us know. Our email address is info@InWheelTime.com. Hey, when you're looking for award-winning car talk, you can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the In Wheel Time app. You on the road? Grab a podcast anytime from your favorite podcast provider, including the new Sirius XM podcast channel. And be sure and catch us on the Odyssey radio app. We video stream our live show every Saturday, 10 to noon, on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. The In Wheel Time video technical director is We Need More Jeff Zekin. For booking agent, video editor, and people finder, Mike Out of This World Mars. And chief engineer, David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. Next week we'll be at the Spring Open House at the Hemi Hideout in Brookshire. $10 cash gets you in to see us in person, and we look for you out there. The Hot Rod Tour of Texas starts April 24th in Victoria, and we hope you'll join us, or at least tune in. Details and links at InWheelTime.com. Be safe out there. Have a great week. And thanks again for tuning in to In Wheel Time.
That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.